And a leading Republican in North Carolina says the current ban on abortions after 20 weeks does not go far enough. This morning, more than 2 million homes and businesses are without power in Florida. And as we make our way up the coast, closer to home here, this is a live look at Frying Pan Tower just off our coastline. 3 Wayne County deputies are in the hospital following a 9-hour standoff with a 23-year-old man. In the midst of the pandemic, food banks played an important role. A little bit of rain on the drive-in this morning, Rob, but sounds like we are drying out and in for a pretty nice day ahead here.
You just nailed it.
Yay.
You just nailed it. Not
Spanish artist Pablo Picasso's Femme assise à la Galette des Rois. Man, it's a good thing I took French. A portrait of the artist's second wife will make its auction debut on Friday. Rob, I'll tell you what, my brain is like the weather this morning. It is foggy.
It's Monday. I mean,
Monday. Trying to relax is no easy task these days as we navigate the pandemic and an ever-complicated world. I think I have a bone to pick, though, with the hurricane naming people. There was a Julianne last year. Now there was a Julianne. And today, one of the Wayne County deputies shot Monday during a standoff with suspect Jordan Hamilton has died. 3 deputies were attempting to serve involuntary commitment papers around 11 a.m. Monday in Dudley when they say Hamilton opened fire. He then barricaded himself inside a home. After several hours, Hamilton was found inside that home with an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. 38-year-old Sergeant Matthew Fishman died this morning. 27-year-old Deputy Alexander Ramon Torres and 37-year-old Corporal Andrew Cox are in stable condition.
Turned out this way.
Since deputies were shot, the State Bureau of Investigation is investigating. And Kenly will be without a police department tomorrow. Today is the last day on the job for Kenly's police chief, 4 officers, and 2 town employees. This after the chief says the new town manager, Justine Jones, created an environment that made it hard for the team to do their jobs. An investigation into what happened is set to begin this week. Once the investigation is finished, town leaders will hold a meeting to decide what's next. For the time being, the Johnston County Sheriff's Office will respond to calls in Kenly. And in North Topsail Beach, the body of Moses Mukai, a 24-year-old man that went missing on Friday after an attempted rescue, has been found. Officials say the victim went under the water along North Topsail Beach on Friday and didn't come back up. Later, his body was found washed ashore on a beach on Camp Lejeune. This incident occurred around the same location as the last drowning on July 9th. The police chief says they hope to better educate everyone about beach safety. And the FAA is investigating another small plane crash here in the east. What you're seeing now is that plane where the pilot made an emergency landing on U.S. Highway 64. The Washington County Sheriff's Office says the plane lost power and the landing gear was not working. Thankfully, no one was hurt. And nearly 1 year after U.S. forces pulled out of Afghanistan, the U.S. carried out a strike on a key al-Qaeda figure. Natalie Brandt has more details on that from Washington. And veterans groups and advocates are keeping up their vigil at the Capitol as they demand senators pass the PACT Act, which would help millions of veterans who were exposed to toxic military burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan.
These are the people that, what the hell are the rest of us supposed to do?
Both the Senate and House had approved the bill, but a technical issue meant it had to be voted on again. And last week, on the second vote, more than 24 Republicans who voted for it in June changed their votes. President Biden has said he will sign the bill if it gets approved. And many eyes are watching Nancy Pelosi's next move. The House Speaker is on an overseas trip. She visited Malaysia overnight, and now she's in Taiwan. This trip could anger China, which considers the sovereign island nation to be part of its territory. She is now the first U.S. House Speaker to visit the nation in 25 years. Rob, thank you. We'll stay tuned for that. But taking a look at the impacts Ian has already made, people in western Cuba are without power right now after the storm ripped through there Tuesday. Here's a live look at Tampa, Florida right now, where things are quiet at this time. But people there are not only preparing for potential floods and strong winds, but also those power outages. 2.5 million residents are under mandatory or voluntary evacuation orders. And this morning, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is expected to hold a press conference. He continues to warn people of the dangers that may come with this storm.
This is going to the Gulf Coast region.
And as Rob mentioned, we are still tracking where exactly that storm will make landfall. And Duke Energy crews are in the Sunshine State ready to help. Videos show trucks arriving at a staging point in Central Florida. Nearly 10,000 Duke Energy crews, contractors, and support personnel are ready to assess damage and restore power as quickly as possible. And Ian is raising some concern for many states in the South, not just Florida. Back here in the East, Jones County Emergency Services are reminding people to have what you need in hand for any emergency situation, like your prescriptions, water, and non-perishable foods. In Onslow County, they want to remind people it's important for them to stay up to date with the newest forecast information. For more tips on how to put together an emergency kit and how to plan ahead of an emergency, visit our website at WNCT.com. And Ian has put the January 6th hearings scheduled for today on hold. There was supposed to be a congressional hearing at 1 this afternoon. Representative Stephanie Murphy is a member of the committee whose district includes parts of Orlando. That area could be impacted by the storm as well. That public hearing has not been rescheduled yet. And turning now to your Health Watch news, Governor Roy Cooper is vowing to block any bills Republicans may pass to restrict abortion here in North Carolina. Democrats are trying to highlight that issue as many voters remain concerned about inflation and the economy. Our Capitol reporter Michael Hyland has more on the impact on the election.
We have
codify the elements of Roe v. Wade into federal law.
That was Michael Hyland reporting. Beasley's campaign released an internal poll Tuesday showing that she and Congressman Budd are tied. She also called inflation and the economy the prevailing issues facing voters. And in other health news, in the General Assembly's most recent session, Medicaid expansion is on the table, hoping to close the coverage gap when it comes to health care. Right now, numbers show only about half of North Carolina child care employers currently offer health care assistance. Advocates like Tiffany Gladney say legislation coming from both state chambers makes reaching a settlement closer in sight in bridging that gap for teacher coverage.
They can go feed their passion.
Gladney says this is also an economic problem. If parents don't have safe and affordable options for childcare with trained and staffed professionals, it makes it difficult for them to work outside the home. And Beaufort County Community College is changing their admission guidelines and testing requirements for their nursing program. This plan is all in hopes of alleviating the nursing shortage. The college is now accepting TEAS scores up to 3 years after the exam is taken. They're also implementing a curriculum flow program to let students see what courses they need to take or have taken. The school will also be offering information sessions about the new admission guidelines. Rob, thank you. We'll check back in soon. And as Ian, one of the most powerful storms ever recorded in the U.S., leaves its mark there on Florida, the federal government is assessing the situation to help with recovery efforts. We have our Washington correspondent, Rashad Hudson, joining us live now with more on that. Rashad.
Rashad Hudson, back to you.
Rashad, thank you. And here in North Carolina, Duke Energy officials say they are anticipating heavy rain from the storm. Teams have started moving water across river basins to create more storage for the larger lakes in the state. Company officials say people living close to any lakes need to keep an eye on the forecast as the system moves through. And as Ian approaches and rain is on the horizon, officials say it's better to prepare your home and driveways for flooding before it's too late. The City of Greenville Public Works Department is hard at work this week clearing the streets and storm drains. And while they're doing their part, they say you at home can also help to prevent any flooding in your neighborhood that could eventually get into your house.
We do a huge help.
Not only should you prepare for rain, but also wind by securing your outdoor furniture and garbage or recycling cans, and consider moving your vehicles to higher ground. And Carteret County Speedway is postponing a race scheduled for October 1st. That is now moved to October 8th. Officials say they're doing this ahead of what Ian may bring. Event organizers say armbands from September 24th are still good for half price on October 8th, and children 10 and under are still free to attend. Onslow County Schools will be having an early release on Friday, letting out students 3 hours early. School officials say all after-school activities will also be canceled Friday. Pender County Schools announcing they will operate on a remote learning schedule on Friday because of Ian. And in Winterville, officials say 2 people are hurt after a plane went down at a private airstrip off County Home Road just before 5 Wednesday afternoon. Both people were taken to a hospital for treatment. That crash happening in the same area as a May 2021 plane crash that killed 2 people. The Federal Aviation Administration continues to investigate what caused the plane to go down. And Duplin County officials are still searching for a suspect after a deadly shooting on Monday. Officials say this man, 44-year-old Antonio Hodges, is wanted for killing Vincent Woodley Jr. It happened Monday afternoon, just before 4 o'clock near the intersection of Raysburden Lane and Bennett's Bridge Road. Deputies say Hodges shot Woodley Jr. multiple times before leaving the scene. The Duplin County Sheriff's Office is now offering a $1,000 reward for any information leading to his arrest.